Alright, calculating the relative formula mass. This is actually fairly straightforward, ladies. So all you need to do is when you look at your periodic table, all you need to do is look at the top number. And basically you just have to add it all up depending on the formula that you're given. So for example, if you had H2O, that means there are 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So you just look it up in your periodic table. If you look up hydrogen, hydrogen is going to be, I'll just draw it, hydrogen will have a 1 and a 1. So if you have 2 hydrogens, that'll be 2 times 1, which equals 2. And if you look up oxygen in your periodic table, you'll have O and you'll have 16 and 8. So oxygen is going to be, remember, just the top number, 16. And since they're together, you're just going to add the 2 together. So 2 plus 16 equals 18. So the relative formula mass for H2O is 18. That's one example. I'm going to try, I'll do 3 more examples, so hopefully you get the hang of it. So that's H2O. You will be given a periodic table during the exam, so don't worry about memorizing any of these. Remember, you're always looking at the top number. Okay, the second one I want to do is something you've all seen, carbon dioxide. Now, first, before you do that, you have to tell me how many there is of each. So carbon, there's no number in front, so that means you've got 1 carbon, and you've got O2, so that means you have 2 oxygens. Now, if you look at carbon on your periodic table, you've got 12 and 6. Remember, it's always the top number. So for carbon, that's going to be 12, and there's only 1. Now for oxygen, we've done this before, 16 and 8. 16, how many do we have? 2, so it's going to be 2 times 16, which equals 32. Now it's CO2 together, so you have to add them. It's going to be 12 plus 32, which gives you 44. So 44 is the relative formula mass for carbon dioxide because you have 1 carbon, which is 12, and 2 oxygens, which is 16 times 2 because there's 2 of them. So 32 plus 12. That's carbon dioxide and water. Now we'll do 2 more examples. We have something here, NH3. So what does that tell us? How many nitrogens do we have? 1 nitrogen. H3, 3 is in front of the H, so that means we have 3 hydrogens. If you look up nitrogen in your periodic table, it should be 14 and 7. Again, it's the top number, so that's going to be 14. Hydrogen, very simple one, it's the first element. Got 1 and 1. How many of it do we have? 3, so it's going to be 1 times 3, which is a total of 3. Add them all together. 14 plus 3 equals 17. That is the relative formula mass for NH3. Okay, last one. Got sodium chloride, or your table salt, NaCl. That means very straightforward. You've got 1 sodium and you've got 1 chlorine. You look up the 2. Sodium is that, and chlorine is that. Remember, it's always the top number, and there's only 1, so it's 23. Chlorine, again, we only have 1, 35. You add the 2 together, 23 plus 35, mental maths here, 5, 8, it is 58. So that is the relative formula mass for sodium chloride. If you're not given it as a formula, like say if you're just given sodium or if you're just given chlorine on its own, you just look for it, find the number on top, and that's it. So very straightforward for relative formula mass. I hope that does help. Again, you'll be given the periodic table during the exam, so you don't have to worry about memorizing any of these. Alright, so that is C3, A, B, C, and D done. I'll have E, F, G, and H at the end of next week, ladies.